I created a short story called Existence is Resistance. I went to the museum the other day. I started walking to the Indian area. On the wall, they had this timeline of mankind. It was interesting to look at. They had water at the first image. Then, as time went on, there was some land. They had some typical prehistoric animals. It was interesting they didn't show the early humans, the Neanderthals, humanoids. But the people they did show were a bunch of Indians gathering berries, and even some were riding on horses. Then there was the next scene was this large, bigger city. Seemed like Europe during the time of the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. Then in the next scene, there were a group of ships on the oceans coming this way. You'd think if you've seen it, you know where this is going. Then the next scene, there are people getting off the ships, Indians watching them off in the bushes from afar. And then in the next scene shows those people that are coming off the boats, giving these Indians gifts for helping them survive the winter. Then in the next scene, there were cars, trains, planes, cities that look modern. As I was ending looking at this, I noticed a little girl and her mom. They're both non-indigenous. The little girl said, "Mom, what is this?" The mom responded, "I think this is the history of mankind, my girl." The little girl was kind of surprised. But the little girl, she started walking. She got past the water, then she passed some land. She seen the animals. "Mom, animals." Mom smiled at her. She continued to walk past slowly, again past Indians, and she got to the scene of the Industrial Revolution. "Look, Mom, real people." Her mom stopped. I just stopped. Her mom looked at me, smiled awkwardly. I smiled back at the mom and the daughter, but the daughter didn't seem to pay attention to me. She just looked at the images. She kept on, "Mom, ships." Her mom nodded. "Look, Mom, those real people are giving those other ones food for money, giving them food and money so that they can live." Then they just kept on going. I stood there and I couldn't help but think, were the Indians not real people? Why didn't the mother correct her in her thinking? Especially because they're all people. Doesn't her mom know the history? Her history? Is this where they say this is chosen ignorance? Like the idea of ignorance is bliss? I know she's just a kid, but isn't this where this perspectives and opinions are formulated? Isn't this where stereotypes or ideas of oppression can start to formulate? Couldn't this have been an incredible teaching moment for them? Should I have intervened? They say the children are our future, but should I have said something? How was I? How could I teach? How can I respond? Do I challenge those thinking? So James Luna, he responded to this kind of situation where people continually forget or neglect that Indians are real or that they're real people, they're real beings. James Luna was a performance actor, and he did his art typically questions stereotypes and colonism. But he did kind of say something in response to my story. He said, "I have long looked at the representation of our peoples in museums, and they dwelled in the past. They were one-sided. We were simply objects among bones, bones among objects, and then signed and sealed with a date. In that framework, you really couldn't talk about joy, intelligence, humor, or anything I know that makes up our people." So he was able to respond to my story. He was able to challenge those stereotypes, right? And I said a little bit about that before. He fulfilled the title of the story, that existence is resistance. He did that with everything. He was so known for the work he did. One piece he did was called the artifact piece, and it's pretty much he just put himself in a display case with a bunch of sand. Um, he had like his favorite albums and books in there, his legal papers like divorces and his divorce, and he had labels even describing his scars. And this was his most famous one. He also did another show about, um, and he would dress up like every other half hour or something in different kind of clothing, but there's like like powwow, traditional powwow, or it's like clothes from way back, just loincloth. And it was called "Take a Picture with a Real Live Indian." Um, and yeah, James Luna was born 19, or he moved to his reserve, La Jolla Indian Reservation in California in 1975. He was Peo Kawichium Ipi, and he was Mexican American, and he was born in Orange, California. Um, but he passed. So he was born on February 9th, 1950, and he passed away March 4th, 2018. Um, and he he's pretty radical.